Harry's Wife, Part 101.42. Listen to me, Your Majesty. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, continuing to explain narcissism to you through the prominent example of Harry's wife. We now turn to an article by Lauren Wellbank, written for something called Cafe Mom, the title of which is Harry's Wife Reportedly Asked King Charles for a one-on-one audience while in the United Kingdom. Let's dive in and find out what's stated here. Royal watchers who are hoping Prince Harry and Harry's wife would use their extended stay in the UK to patch things up with the royal family may be in luck. Royal expert Neil Shawn says the Duchess of Sussex sent a formal request to her father-in-law asking for a one-on-one meeting before she and the Duke of Sussex head back to the United States. Sense of entitlement. Hoover. Lack of accountability to former behaviours. Compartmentalisation of those behaviours. Neil says he has it on good authority that Harry's wife is hoping to make amends. The YouTube personality told his followers that a very good source told him the news during his recent episode of Neil Shawn's Daily News Headlines. She'd now like, before they return back to California, to have a one-to-one audience with King Charles III, he said. That's right, Harry's wife one-to-one with King Charles. Now, of course, many people aware of this information would be thinking, goodness me, the brass neck of this young harridan. Absolutely outrageous. Who does she think she is? Well, remember, as a narcissist, she doesn't have that sense of shame, conscience, or guilt for her behaviour. In fact, her narcissism will not be reminding her of the way that she behaves when she sat down to pen such a letter. She doesn't sit there thinking, I've been a real shitbag, haven't I? Feel a little bit awkward about writing this, but I need to talk to him because I need some cash. So I need to start smoothing things over and pouring oil over troubled waters. Okay. No, she simply writes believing that it's time, because she says so, for there to be some smoothing over of matters, that there should be a discussion. She, of course, believes that he ought to listen to her because she is Harry's wife, Empress of Woke, and most important person in the universe, and not the Duchess of Delusion that comes out with industrial beige fridge magnet platitudes. The article continues to explain she even went through the proper channels to make her request. Lordy. So rather than writing it on a piece of paper and wrapping around a brick and hurling it through a window at Buckingham Palace, she did it through the proper channels. Her narcissism guided her to do that, to hoover, in that particular way. The article continues. Now that Charles is king, it sounds like she has to do a little more than send her father-in-law a text message to schedule a chat. I'm fairly certain that she does not have Prince Charles's mobile number. Neil says that Harry's wife sent her request in a formal letter to Charles, and the good news, my valuable viewers, is that I have access to that particular letter, which I'll be reading to you in a later video. She sent this formal letter to Charles. This is how you write to the king through his equerry, and of course that's passed on, etc., he shared. Apparently, Harry's wife was interested in setting the record straight before their flight back home, also known as the narcissist's last word. And I'd encourage you to watch my video about the last word to understand more about why she's done this. In essence, she has repeatedly found herself receiving threats to her control through this entire visit. And therefore, what she wants to do is assert control and nullify those threats and basically say, right then, jug ears, this is how it is. All of these things you think about me that are bad are simply not true, and I'm going to tell you why. A little bit like in the previous video, involving the observations in the cut that have been amplified in the mirror, Harry's wife there was aware of the various criticisms of things that have occurred on the trip, and in order to nullify that threat to control, she feels a need to have them addressed in the press. This is interesting, because to my mind, this shows an increasing level of desperation. Rather than just sniffily dismiss it and stay in a position of withdrawal, or moan about it to the Prince of Pink Pancakes, the fact that she's moved to try and address each of these specific allegations demonstrates that it's really starting to get to her. And here, this is also a parallel action, if you will. There's a use of the PR puff piece through the cut and the mirror to nullify those potential threats to control that occurred, or rather those actual threats to control, and also she engages in this parallel action of hoovering King Charles III, who is a non-intimate secondary source in her fuel matrix, in order to not only assert control over him and undoubtedly seek some residual benefits and manage the facade, but also to indirectly nullify those threats by saying to him, "These things that have been said about me aren't true, and you need to listen." The article continues. Neil says the source had some insights into the contents of the letter and claimed that Harry's wife said it would be an opportunity to clear the air, pull the rights from wrongs, and explain some of the rationale behind what they've been doing over the last 2 years. Exhibits that sense of entitlement that you need to listen to me, monologue behaviour in effect, which shows grandiosity, and the assertion of control once again. Even with all this information, Neil says he's no idea whether Charles will sit down with his son and daughter-in-law. The news comes on the same day that Harry's wife and Harry were not included in the royal reception hosted by Charles. Charles hosted an event for dignitaries and heads of state that were flying in for Queen Elizabeth's funeral on Monday. The reception, which was expected to include 1,000 people, was held Sunday night. While initial reports were that Harry and Harry's wife would be there for the event, it was later revealed that they weren't invited, as it was only a dinner for working royals, adding to speculation that the Queen's death had done little to repair the ongoing divide within the family. And of course, I have dealt with those incidents in parts passing in Harry's Wife 101.33, Pity Play, No Canapés for You, and Harry's Wife 101.34, False Invitation. If you haven't watched those videos, why on earth not? The meeting may not happen, the article tells us, even if both sides would like to see it arranged. Everyone in the royal family has been working overtime since the Queen's September the 8th death, with processions and memorials taking place across the United Kingdom. It's likely that Charles already has a fully booked schedule and won't have time to meet with Harry and Harry's wife. Although we have to admit, we love to see these three get to talk one-on-one. Wouldn't it be two-on-one? With the Queen's death, we have to imagine that everyone is realising just how fast things can change. We hope everyone realises that there's still time to put the past behind them and move forward. How dreary. Point is, this is not a surprise that Harry's wife would engage in such behaviour. It's a hoover of King Charles to directly assert control over him and at the same time indirectly assert control over other family members, the press and the public by setting things straight. The world according to Harry's wife. We did as we did. Ordinarily, her narcissism ignores what's gone on. In the past, once it's happened, it's dealt with, except where it has to be brought up for the purposes of the assertion of control. Now, clearly, Harry's wife's narcissism feels that the control that she has vis-à-vis the royal family is threatened and also identifies likely a need for residual benefits, namely money, and therefore is motivating her to do this to get to maintain that control and also to try and lay her hands on that particular residual benefit. Evidently, the letter didn't work. As far as we are aware, no actual meeting has taken place. But as I say, keep your eyes peeled because the contents of that letter will be revealed to you in a later video. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.